Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Spotlight on Impact Makers, because we are going to be speaking with the amazing Justin R. Spears. He is the founder and CEO of MXI Consulting. Only had a few brief moments to just chat with him before the call here, and absolutely love his vibe, love the energy, and of course, love our history. Although we haven't been doing it together, we've been brothers in one aspect or another in our life. So with that, Justin, I want you to just share a little bit. Who are you, and what is it that you're trying to accomplish here?
Chad, thanks for having me on, brother. Yes, Navy history together. So who am I? Justin R. Spears. One, I'm a very proud Navy veteran. I love my service, love my country. Two, I love tech. And three, I love business. Okay. I think that those three things combined together, we make a lot of community impact for our entrepreneurs, but also our local communities and regional communities. So what do? I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs across our amazing country. And I have some outside of the country as well, but primarily in the country here, is help them on their entrepreneurship journey. I want to teach them how to be strategic, how to be competitive, how to integrate the right tech tools, AI tools into business administration so that they can be competitive with the big dogs out there. You know, I primarily work with these small startups and small to medium businesses, and I want to teach people how to increase productivity and profitability. So not only can we be competitive, but we can survive this new Web 3.0 innovative front that we're in.
Right. Love that. Now, I understand what you're doing, and I understand the value of what you're doing in business and in the marketplace. Why is this so important for you to actually kind of spearhead this movement forward for small businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chad, for me is, I started learning business admin and organizational change and organizational management actually while I was active duty in the Navy. And it really started with passion. And when I got out, I started learning a lot of it, did restructures and reorgs when I was active in the Navy. One, it saved taxpayer dollars. So that was great. Two, increased operational efficiency. So we were really good at our job. So it led to a lot of great advances while we were in the military, making us a more effective force. Now, since getting out, I've taken that, and I love working with entrepreneurs and executives because I want this passion inside of, I want people to have businesses that are sustainable and successful, so it positively impacts them and their family, their surrounding community, and their local region. There's such an economic impact when we have successful businesses, not just to our family, but we become those pillars where we see changes in communities and surrounding areas. So I want to actually be that subject matter expert to help them make their businesses sustainable and to thrive.
Awesome. I love that. One of the key things that shifted in me and in my life and my business is I was praying about it, and I was like, okay, I need to have a bigger impact. I need to reach more people. I need to do more with what I've been gifted with. And one of the things that came was, if you want to make a greater impact, you have to impact the impact makers. And yep. I was like, okay, I'm already coaching globally. What do I need to do? And it started to be very strategically. It's like, I can be a facilitator of change in my community, or I can teach community leaders all over the U.S. and facilitate change in my world. And so I see that's kind of what you're doing, is you're saying, I want to be that hub of information, that resource, that guidance for people who are actually making a direct impact in their communities through their business. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes, absolutely, right. Chad. Yeah. Like you said, you got to, if you want to make the biggest change, be that resource for the change makers. Absolutely.
Awesome. So obviously we come from a similar background. So we dream bigger, we do bigger, we take bigger steps than the average person, because we've overcome a lot more things than the average person has. But we also come into certain times when we feel held back. Are there some things that, when you said, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to move forward with, what were some of the obstacles and hardships that kind of held you back from maybe moving as fast as you would have liked?
Yeah, that's a very real thing. And that's where, when I wrote my book on holistic entrepreneurship, we hit on a few of those things. And so for me, one of the biggest hurdles was, I was injured when I was in the military. I was medically retired. There was a season where I could barely walk for a number of years due to some spinal injuries. So, I mean, medical issues were just significant.
Are you using Bluetooth?
I am, yes.
We're losing you.
Oh, okay.
Your
Can you hear me?
volume's going down.
Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now, but it kind of started fading out on us.
Just switched mics. Sorry about that.
All good.
Yeah, so medical issues. I mean, that was a big one. I needed about 7 surgeries due to an accident that I was in. So that's always a big one. The other one was, I right timing.
Yeah.
After I got out, I really wanted to do 2 different graduate programs. Before starting my consultancy. So I ended up doing my master's in intellectual leadership, and then I did an MBA in entrepreneurship and innovation. But I also had, some unique opportunities in front of me. I did a great restructure. I did a great expansion for a university. And then that actually led me, I was like, okay, I really want to get my consultancy off the ground. And so I started consulting on a big charter school project back in Northern California in 2017. And then, going through it wasn't until 2 years ago that I took it full time because I had some really great opportunities in front of me where I was doing the same thing, but just one client at a time. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the one client at a time. I want to make a bigger impact. And so 2 years ago, I decided, you know what? Let's take this full time. Let's build this firm out. Let's bring on some great subject matter experts and consultants to work with me. And, let's hit the ground running.
Awesome. I love that. I think it's really key for people to understand that, a lot of times they look at veterans and they say, well, of course they can do it. They've gone through so much. They've gone through basic, but basic boot camp, all this stuff. And I was like, guys, come on. That's just like, can you tie your shoes and put your clothes on right? It's a little bit of physical activity. The hard work comes when we actually come into that active, specific job training. And we go, okay, now's where things start getting real.
Right.
But they misunderstand. We're no different than anybody else. We run into the same obstacles. We run into the same hardships. We have the same stuff, the same doubts, fears, self-realizations, all of these things. We're just like everybody else. We've just been taught different ways to cope with things as they come up. So as you started to go past some of these obstacles, I mean, I've gone through the medical thing. Sometimes when we're under a knife and we're sitting here under a doctor's care, we start to second guess our invincibility. In the world.
That's so true.
And sometimes it makes us question other aspects of ourselves, where there's some other things that just internally that said, this is not what I thought it was going to be when I set out to do this. What are some obstacles that you may have run into there?
Yeah, so I mean, one of them is establishing your tribe, your support system. I tell people that I work with all the time is surround yourself with like-minded people. Find the people that you can call, that you can bounce ideas off of. Be a mentor, be a mentee. Build those reciprocal relationships where you're helping others are helping you. And so I have a number of groups that I'm part of that. We're pretty tight knit. Here in Florida, I'm the vice chairman for the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses across the whole state. Like, I got a group of over 500 members that it's like I can reach out and talk to them. I'm there for them. They're there for me. And but our camaraderie is, one, we're veterans, and 2, we're all business owners. Yeah. So we know what we call the suck that we're all going to go through. We're going to drag each other through. It's like, hey, you know what? You got a contract that's due next week. We're going to drag you through it. Like, you're going to deliver. We got you. And vice versa. I have days where it's like, mental health is a real thing in the veteran community. I definitely started excelling a lot more when I got a handle on that. Started working, with counselors and things like that. I had a mild TBI, so I had to work with some speech pathology as well. And so, getting these subject matter experts in there to help us, that for me is the key thing. It really is, and that's actually, what I recommend to most of the people that I work with is, your tech, your service, your product. Bring in the subject matter experts in all area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always joke with people because I took on a business partner, and I said, somebody asked me, I said, well, why'd you choose her as a business partner? I was like, well, she's a licensed therapist. I get free help.
That's so
And then
real.
they laugh, and she
Yeah.
laughs about it. But the reality is, when we surround ourselves with people who actually fill in our weaknesses, then we can not try and develop our weaknesses. We can focus on our strengths. They can
Right.
focus on their strengths, and in community, we're much stronger. Yeah,
Yeah.
far more productive than we could ever be in isolation. And honestly, I think what happened a few years ago is probably the best thing that could have happened to the world, because it taught people that you can function outside of the way government wants you to. We have the ability to see an opportunity, to see even an obstacle in front of us, and be able to move forward and farther past that, because we start to realize, hey, this is something that I can do. Like, you underwent multiple surgeries.
Right.
You dealt with, like you said, the mild TBI, the issues that come with taking advancement. They're not barriers; they're stepping stones.
Right.
They help
Adapt
us
and
to
overcome.
they help us to gain a new perspective. I always say every obstacle is something to stand on, so that I can get a new perspective on my direction. And I don't deal with problems anymore. I deal with solutions.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and that
um,
that mindset shift is so critical. Like you hit it, like not dealing with problems, but dealing with solutions. Like, I try and get people to have that mindset shift, rather than a pessimistic, entrepreneurial journey. Look at everything like growth by definition. You have to learn to be an opportunistic person.
yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's opportunities.
And I see it in the littlest things in life. And like you said, it's a mindset shift. It's
Hmm.
not something that we actively think, well, I have to focus on a solution. We shift the way that we see the world around us, and it
Right.
becomes natural.
Hmm.
Like this morning, okay, we've got these, the little plastic cutting boards. They're not
Hmm.
they're not thick or anything. It's just like flimsy plastic. I think she got them from Pampered Chef. And my wife put it up on the edge of the counter, and it slid right down between the counter and the wall. And she goes, well, we just lost the cutting board. And I just looked at her, and I reached over and I popped the top off the counter, and I slid the piece out. I picked up the thing, slid it back in, put the countertop back on, put it on top. I says, that's why we're a perfect pair, honey. You find the problems and I find the solutions. Yeah, we're perfect balance. She gives me purpose.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a
That's
solution
great.
man. Uh, and when you find your purpose, like for you, your purpose is like, I get to be that hub of information. I get to be that resource for people that need me. Then the only thing is saying, okay, if this is my purpose, then I need to find the people that need that purpose fulfilled. And therefore my life
Right.
has more meaning and purpose. Because
Absolutely.
there's nothing worse than being an accordion player at a rock and roll band.
Right.
Like, nobody wants it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't seen
I,
any trap accordion players at a rock and roll band yet, so I don't think it fits.
right. I always tell people, I was like, the best place to sell a hot dog is not at a vegan convention, but I guarantee you can charge more for the one hot dog that you sell than anybody else can at the stadiums, because there's one guy there who's going to sneak behind the bleachers and be like, dude, what do you want? I'll give you anything for a hot dog.
Right?
So nothing is
That's
off
so
limits.
true.
There's always opportunity. You just
Yeah.
got to find
Yeah.
it.
There is. Absolutely. And that was actually, some of the lessons I learned along the way talking about opportunity was, I was working with a number of executives and business owners, and, we were giving them strategic plans and tech, digital transformations, and we were breaking them into new industries. But, they still weren't like really understanding what it is when it comes to corporate strategy and corporate growth, even in the small business phase. And so I actually developed a 10-week workbook on developing a strategic growth mindset. That way people can start to learn this stuff. Business owners need to launch, especially entrepreneurs. You have to learn what a strategic growth mindset is, where everywhere you go is an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I something like a quick 15-minute interview to say hello. I mean, this is
Right.
people are like, what can you do in 15 minutes? I'm like, you haven't spent much time around me.
Yeah, you can do a lot in 15 minutes.
So
Yeah.
somebody once challenged me to there's no way that you can teach all of that in 15 minutes. Because I was like, it doesn't take long. You do this in 15 minutes. I said, are you kidding? I says, I can do that in 4. He goes, oh, I'd love to see a 4-minute masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
I put together a 4-minute masterclass that covered all of the core requirements for pretty much a guaranteed sale. And we did 4 minutes, and he was like, you're kidding me. I'm like, well, you said 4 minutes. He goes, what would you have done if I said 2 minutes? I was like, made it shorter.
Yeah. Yeah. Give you a lot of homework.
Right? And giving yourself those individual challenges actually force us to grow beyond what we naturally do. And, obviously I like to talk. I've got a lot to say. I've got years of experience, and I've got even more knowledge. And I say knowledge because I haven't applied most of what I know yet. But I've done really good at having fun along the way. But when it comes down to it, if we're not personally challenging ourselves or putting ourselves in a position that stretch us, how can we possibly stay ahead of the world as it changes? And I know beforehand we had talked, we're moving into an age where you're either advancing or you're going to be left behind in business, especially with the tech and the AI integrations. What should somebody do if they're saying, you know what, I've realized this is what's happening. Things are shifting. I can't do this on my own, and I need somebody like Justin. Like, what do you suggest that they should do? What's the next best course of action for them today?
We keep it pretty straightforward at MXI Consulting. You can shoot us a direct message on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We've got a phone number. You can even text 407-426-4424. And, really what we're going to do is we're going to jump on a call pretty quick and just hear, like, what's your vision? What are your pain points? What are you working on? Where do you want to see your business go? And to be real with you, Chad, most of the people that come to us and that reach out, they ask us, where should my business go? What should I be looking out for? They're great. Subject matter experts are great at their widget, their service, their product. But bringing in strategy and growth consulting firm like MXI is we're doing the market research. We're doing, the economic research and things like that. The pestle analyses and things like that. So we know, what is the political climate doing to your business, and what are we forecasting for the next 4 years? The economy, if you have a business that's affected by, weather patterns and things like that. Well, so we have different seasons and different weather patterns in different regions. And so these are things that we stay very relevant on, from stock markets to political campaigns, things like that affect different areas and different industries within our country.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now we're joking about it, being vets and everything. And maybe you can explain why this was so funny to us. But I told them if they want to connect with you, that they've got to drop a hashtag anchors away below the video here on Facebook.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to do that. And I encourage you guys to do one thing. Drop it, if only to ask Justin why that's so funny to us.
Hashtag anchors away. I want to see it. I like that. That's a good one, chat.
And the reason being is I highly encourage you guys to reach out and have a conversation, book the call, get the strategy, get the ideas about how you should move forward. But most importantly, get connected to somebody who wants to see you succeed. Everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants your money. Everybody wants to sell you something. But I found in over 3 decades, there's only a handful of people that genuinely want to see you succeed. And I believe that Justin is one of those people. So I highly encourage you to do that. Reach out, connect, say hello, and pay attention, because we're going to be doing a podcast episode where we go really deep on some really cool things. And we're going to go all pirate on them. We're going to give them the treasure. But with that, man, Justin, is there anything that you'd like to share, imparting words of wisdom, thoughts?
Yeah, so I always like to end, most of my meetings and conversations with keep growing. Keep growing. It's a very subtle, simple reminder to whatever you just did, keep growing from that. Whatever you just did 5 minutes ago, there's better to be done. There's more to be done in front of you, and just keep going after it.
Absolutely. I love that. Justin, thank you so much for coming in and joining us today. I look forward to our next interview chat where we're going to hop over on the podcast and share a little bit more. Just appreciate you so much for the work that you do, for supporting our veterans, for supporting business owners and people trying to make a difference in the world. So thank you for coming in and joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me today, Chad. I really appreciate it, brother.
All right. We'll talk soon.